Better Call Saul Season 6, Episode 3 ended up one of our favorite characters, Nacho, and I have to say his death really took me by surprise. Michael Mando, the actor that plays Nacho, had a conversation with the TV guide where he provided some information on the death of the character. Here are some of the information about this. There was a big gap between the end of Season 5 and the start of Season 6. When did you learn that Nacho was going to die? At the end of Season 5, Nacho says with Don Eladio, and instinctually, I played that conversation knowing that Nacho was definitely about breaking good, and feeling that the whole show was going to break bad. I think intuitively, I knew that decision was going to put me in a very difficult spot. What kind of conversation do you have with co-creator Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould leading into the season? They called me in the winter leading up to the shoot. I was in Montreal and they said to me, "We're going to call you upon you for a tour de force performance. It's going to be like a feature film. It's going to be physical, it's going to be emotional, psychological, and spiritual." And I said, I've been dreaming about it. Episode 3, as you can see, was an episode focused a lot on the journey of Nacho. What was your reaction to learning that Nacho sacrificed himself for his dad? You know, it's not when you go, but it's why you go. Why you go and your relationship to that departure. He approaches that moment for the first time in the whole series, being whole and being 100% on his own, but being 100% comfortable. Peter Gould said it best when he said Nacho is the only character who transcends himself and transcends his situation, and enter this sort of realm that is beyond the material world. Talking about the last phone call between Nacho and his dad is so quietly heartbreaking. I'm always interested in how phone calls are filmed because I know characters' dialogue obviously has been shot separately, but there were so many layers in your performance and in Juan Carlos Cantu's performance. What was it like to film that call? Part of Nacho's glory and tragedy is that he never tells his father all the things he's going through to save him. Juan Carlos Cantu, a wonderful friend and actor, did not read the scripts. You don't have access to the scripts. So I thought it was best if he did not knew what I was going through, and I decided that he would not be in the room with me. I was reading off our AD Rich, and Juan Carlos asked me to be there for his reading. So I was there for his coverage, but he was not there for mine. I think it helped us both. He had no idea what was happening to Nacho in that moment. No, he could not see my face, he did not know what I looked like, where I was, what I had gone through, he had no idea. And I think it was just right. Providing information on that scene, how long did that take? The whole episode was filled with this kind of layer than life symbols. For example, right before my first day of shooting, I cut my thumb really deep and had to be taken to the hospital. I couldn't feel my whole left arm that night. I felt like I was having a heart attack. I couldn't shoot for about a week and a half, so they started shooting everybody else. The day we were in the desert for that final scene, right before they turned the coverage on Nacho, a huge sandstorm hit, and we really rushed out. Our cars got stuck. When I got home that night, lightning struck the tree in front of my house and fell. I could not get into my driveway. And then the next day when I show up, Gordon Smith, the director of this episode, had this brilliant idea for me to play that scene in a very different way than the way I had it that night before. So we wouldn't have had that scene had it not been for that sandstorm. So we wouldn't have that scene had it not been for that sandstorm. What a way. What a dramatic way to exit the character. I love that he gets his monologue at the end where he gets to tell Hector what he did. That moment felt so significant to me because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Nacho doesn't often get truly, honestly angry like that. How do you get to that emotional place? It's really weird, but the undertone of it all, to me, really was a love for his father. He's a humble being, and he has his doubts about death and the afterlife. I mean, at the gas station, he's free, he's won, he can run into the sunset. He chooses to turn around, and that phone call essentially is, "I love you, come with me." That is subtext. He chooses to walk back through the hell to protect his father. It's very Shakespearean. It's tragic and it's heroic at the same time, which together makes it romantic. The final trial at the end, where it's like the ancient Egyptians, they used to weigh the dead man's heart against the weight of a feather, and if the person's heart was lighter than the feather, they ascended to heaven. To ascend into heaven, you have to die with no regrets and no second doubts. Nacho goes to that sort of divine trial without ever guessing that he will die there. That's why he takes the piece of glass, because he's going to assure one thing and one thing only, that he's going to trade his life for the absolute safety of his father. That's what that moment is. You brought up Jesse. There are obviously so many parallels between him and Nacho, even though they're very different characters. Jesse's ending ultimately feels hopeful, while Nacho obviously ends tragically, and both of their endings are very meaningful to their respective series. What do you think Nacho's death signifies about the rest of the season? He says, "What I can tell you is that there are fan theories out there from reporters that I've spoken to They were telling me that they believed that the reason why Jesse and Walter White were spared by Gus and Mike was because of Nacho's death. In other words, the impact his passing had on Mike and Gus will have changed their approach to people who seem virtuous and mortal. In a way, their destinies are intertwined. What I love about the character of Nacho is when you first meet him, he saved the life of 3 people, Saul Goodman and 2 skaters. And then when we last meet him, he saved the life of 1 more, his father, and impacts the relationship in the future with Jesse and Mike. Mike at some point in Breaking Bad says, "I had a guy, you're not that guy." You can only imagine he must be speaking about Nacho in a way. I just had the in a way. The final thing that he says is, "Do you have any final thoughts about Nacho and his story?" He says, "The outpouring of fans on the streets, in restaurants, and social media has just filled me up with tremendous amount of gratitude. This journey at times was very dark and very difficult, and to come out of it with just like Nacho, a sense of transcendence and of feeling whole, and of liberating that character in the world, and he accomplished this super objective. It transcends his environment, is beautiful, and is larger than life." Now, Mando, the actor, explained the meaning of Nacho's action with the following: "Every single one of them is dead, if you think about it. There's an omniscience thing to the scene where these are all dead men watching the first man die. But they're already dead, they just don't know it yet. The image of Nacho is the image of sacrifice, true love, and bravery. It's not the image of revenge. It's the ultimate act that defines the character is the act of sacrifice, and not anger, but love." I wanted to do a video on this interview because Nacho is one of my favorite characters of Better Call Saul, and I just wanted to share what he was, some things that we can understand more about the show and the meaning of it. But I left the interview. I mean, I just read it, but if you want to check it out. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. My name is Christian from Beyond Premiere, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everyone.
On the next episode of Better Call Saul.
You ever feel like you're being followed?
Who's here to see Saul Goodman?
You're the guy, right? I'm just getting warmed up.
What the hell is going on?
It's just wrong. So I need guys in close.
Are you following me?